You led an extremely lively town hall. Can you tell me about some of the most interesting themes that were discussed in that?
Well, thanks. Some of it was not a simple finger-pointing exercise of blaming diffuse, perhaps often confused and maybe misdirected blame of people who have some legitimate issues out there on the streets of Wall Street and 1,500 other cities, and also to not fall into the easy trap of blaming the political paralysis of Washington or our political capitals elsewhere in the world, that a lot of the issues have to do with systemic financial industry problems that persist, and even more so, institution-specific and individual leadership-specific issues. And the John Corzine example of the MF Global implosion was a particularly poignant one as a launch pad for each of the panelists sort of to talk about how does this still happen? How does this still continue? There isn't anything that changing the laws was going to affect. In fact, all the appropriate rules and regulations, laws were there, and still people in key positions, both in government and in Corzine and others leading MF Global, made the wrong calls, did the wrong things, were over 40% leveraged in terms of what's known. And as the panelists were arguing, there's an awful lot of risk we don't even know how to calibrate that's out there. And it's other people's money.
So these risks and this blame game that you mentioned earlier, do you think this blame game is going to stop? Do you think it's going to continue to accelerate with everything that's going on in Europe right now?
Well, so Wall Street has to understand their piece of the puzzle, that in fact we still have poorly accounted for risk. We have boards that are very financially literate. We have people in distant seaports at some of the European capitals that you point to that often still don't understand the financial products we're looking at. And it isn't just a question of maladroit legislators asking questions about the complex world of finance without understanding some of the arcane or cutting-edge language. Some of the people, many of the people, maybe most of the people in the industry often don't understand their own risk profile. So the challenge is you don't want to take away individual initiative, take away creativity, take away innovation. Is we still need to take risks. That's what courage is all about. And heroic leadership has an element of courage. But how do we judge? What are the risks worth taking? What are the risks that we can stand if we're wrong? And that it's not based in personal grandiosity. And much of the deal culture has often been fed by people wanting to take a swing at the plate with an I'll show them attitude based on the personal career agenda or some ego grandiosity or personal enrichment, but not the interests of the institutions they're supposed to be representing.